Hello, everyone. Today is Wednesday, 6th of November, 2024. This is the sixth cluster Lifecycle. This is the cluster API office hour. Sorry for the lapsus. And before starting, just a reminder, we abide to the CNCF code of conduct. And if you want to speak, please feel free to do it and use the raise hand feature of Slack. We have a meeting agenda. I've pasted the link to the meeting agenda in the Zoom chat. Before start, please add your name to the attendee list, and if you have a topic that you would like to discuss, feel free to add them to the agenda. Let's get started with today. So as usual, at the beginning of the meeting, we give room to the new attendee to introduce themselves if they want. So if you are a new attendee and you want to say hi to everyone, feel free to do it. Okie dokie, it seems that we don't have a new attendee, so let's take a look at open proposal. We have one open proposal, which is the in-place upgrade. I don't know if someone want to give an update on this one. Is Guglielmo around? Nope. We also have another document that is a sort of proposal. I'm copying the link and moving it here so it is more visible. Okay, this document, we discussed this document last week. Is not a proposal yet, is a document that will be probably worked by a new working group. I also saw Tilo as an update below. And yeah, if someone want to speak about this document, otherwise I leave the floor to Tilo.
Thank you. Yeah, this is more of a transient update. We discussed kind of what I would call node provisioning, node bootstrapping working group. We had folks from Red Hat and I guess Akamai speak up who wanted to participate. Today, I don't have much news today because I'm also aligning this with a few folks internally. I'm gonna check out at Microsoft if someone's interested. And we are very busy for the upcoming conferences. So progress was a little slower than expected. Yeah, I'm planning to kickstart kind of a little document on that, a README just like for the other working groups, and I'll put it as a draft PR to the cluster API GitHub repository so we can continue to discuss there. I would just folks here in this call, is there anyone who would want to be part of this basically from day one? So I ping you, involve you in writing the working group proposal and everything. I think Almiko isn't here today. He spoke up last time he'd be interested. He actually proposed that there'd be a working group, so I'll definitely pull him in. If anyone else wants to be part of that, which is about initial node provisioning and node configuration, and came from the kind of ongoing pain that the cloud init ignition split in the bootstrap provider, the Kube ADM provider, is causing. That's basically where that's coming from. If anyone wants to be part of working on the working group kind of charter initial README, then please let me know right here. And I'll take note and I'm gonna pull you into that PR as soon as I cut it, probably towards the end of this week or early next week.
I don't see hand raised, so I speak. So yeah, I will try to do my best to follow. I already told last week. Just a note in case whenever there are meetings, also spontaneous meeting that happens about some topic that could be of interest of a broader community, please post add Zoom's link in chat, whatever. So yeah, more forks can participate. And thank you for this update. Looking forward for the PR end of week. And if there are no more questions, we can give the word to Sunat.
Hi. Yeah, I wanted to put it on the bottom of the agenda, but yeah, somehow it ended up in second. So yeah, Cluster API released yesterday v1.9.0 beta 0 and v1 8.5 and v1 7.8 releases. Yeah, please update and give feedback. Yep, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Is there someone that want to comment on it? Okay, I had some. Please, Stefan, go.
Maybe just a quick comment. We just released CAPV beta 0 based on CAPI beta 0 from yesterday. Everything seems to be working fine so far.
Thank you for the feedback and taking from this one. So it is really important to get feedback before the actual CAPI release. Beta 0 is the first moment where we declare something is actually usable for provider to start testing and integrating. So I kindly invite everyone from the provider side to start bumping as soon as possible. And so we can gather feedback for the cluster API release. Also, on the same line, today they released Kubernetes 132.0 beta 0. And so if possible, let's also start testing with the new Kubernetes release. So we'll be ready as soon as possible.
Yeah, maybe just one additional comment. The GA release is scheduled for, I think, 10th December. The patch release afterwards was 132 is scheduled for 18th December. Let's just say if you need bug fixes, ideally you need them before like 18th December and not during Christmas or New Year. So yeah, I just want to say like ideally would be great if people bump already early so that we find the bugs early and we get a version that works for most people for Christmas. But yeah, obviously up to you.
Thank you. So with this color action, help is needed to test upcoming CAPI release and upcoming Kubernetes release. We can move on and give the floor to Andreas.
Hi. Yeah, so my company is working a lot with machine pools, specifically with AWS, but in the future, maybe with other providers as well. And what's missing for us is health checks. So for example, if a machine doesn't come up correctly, something fails, disk pressure, whatever, node becomes unready, it's supposed to be remediated, but that was not implemented yet for machine pools. The features there in CAPI, I think, for Cube ADM control plane, single machines, and for machine sets. But yeah, so basically I posted in chat, is it fine? Any concerns if I implement this for machine pools, since it should basically be quite simple? And then essentially kind of the bigger topic came up by Fabrizio, for example, that there are just too few maintainers to own the whole machine pool topic. So yeah, I brought this here. I guess you can explain more what the issue is here. Fabrizio, maybe? Do you know the situation or what kind of the wish is?
Yeah, I just don't want always to play the bad guy that says we have problem as a
That's
community.
okay.
I can also
So
chime in if you want, Fabrizio.
yeah, thank you.
I can try to keep it short. So, I mean, basically the situation is that we have no one maintaining machine pools. And what I mean with that is basically the only people who are reviewing machine pool PRs are like mostly the regular maintainers, like Fabrizio and me. But we have zero experience with machine pools and we also don't use them. So like we do a sort of best effort thing, like, okay, as far as we can tell, this should work. But that's the only thing we can do. So I think what we would like to see is, I mean, for people using machine pools and just in general is basically, I think on one side, I mean, I think the general thing is we would ideally want eventually have some people who can become maintainers for like machine pools for like for this area of our code base, right? And I think what would be necessary to get there sooner or later is basically I think start taking care of machine pool issues. Like we have a bunch of issues like as machine pools. Start reviewing PRs around machine pools. I mean, I guess that at least requires like two people sooner or later, like one people opening PRs and the other one reviewing them. So we can try to help a little bit, like with, I don't know, if you want to implement the machine of check thing, trying to review them if there's nobody else around. But ideally, sooner or later, we need like a group of people who are, trying to fix bugs there, look at issues, implement stuff, and review PRs of each other. And I think sooner or later, if we see that there is like a bit of continuous contributions there, we'll just make those people who are contributing there reviewers and eventually maintainers for the machine pool part. And until we get there, we will basically, I think, jump in and approve the PRs once like machine pool people have consensus that they want to merge something from machine pools, right? But in general, it's just we're not going to hand over like machine pool approval access just because someone says I want to merge machine pool stuff, right? So that's really just trying to get through like the regular letter in a little bit, but yeah, basically we have to bootstrap this area again. That's what we have to work through, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Andreas?
This is a call for reviewers. We have seen that as well in Kappa, where a colleague of mine and me became reviewers, and kind of I'm now maintainer while colleagues as also reviewers. And this works well. It's a lot of work, but it's much better than zero. I guess Richard can say that a lot of PRs get reviewed just by adding people that we did in the last few months. So I would be up to become a reviewer, at least for this part of Rust API. I think I contributed a little to it, probably not enough. But I mean, in this topic, I'm the author, of course, and I would like to have something reviewed, but in the future. And also, as we've seen, chat, there are just a few people raising their hand, maybe to become reviewers. Yeah, I think that's a good option. Mohammed, I
Mohammed?
think.
Yes, hi. So it's just for the machine pool issue. So it has a priority, like what is like the most important one that we need immediate action on it, and what is the next? So
I would say that mostly depends on people that care about machine pools, right? I mean, I can pick some random stuff, but I think in the end it comes down to people using machine pools, what is most important to them. One thing that I'm not happy about, like as just a general core copy maintainer, is that we have some end-to-end tests that are flaky because of machine pools.
yeah, yes.
That's that one that is like bugging me. Otherwise, it should be probably mostly up to like machine pool people deciding what is most important to them. I think we don't have, I mean, not a crazy amount of open issues, maybe like 10 or 15. So it's still an amount where people can just go over the machine pool issues and just decide, hey, this looks like something that we should fix and then pick it.
Okay, then so I'm trying to look to those E2E failing machine pool test issues. It's a bit tricky, like they are not really, they're hard to reproduce. So but yeah, but what I meant is for like, so there was like an old BR to graduate the machine pool from beta to like, and then like I see there are some comments to we have to fix those changes first. So is those like we can say the most important, or to graduate the machine pool, or what do you think? Maybe
Stefan,
So
maybe
I can give
it
like a
will
hot take on it if you want to.
Yeah, I opened some time ago. We had a similar discussion, and we asked I remember with Jake from Microsoft. I don't remember if the other folks were involved, but on the issue for the graduating machine pool, Stefan did a huge job basically to collect all the open points. Some of them, in my opinion, are a little bit critical, like, yeah, the machine pool API seems not to work for everyone. And there are a couple of issues which are about the design of the API itself. And this is, let me say, one part of the problem. As of today, I'm like Stefan, I'm not using machine pool, but I'm not sure, or as a maintainer, I don't have a clear picture if our current API design for machine pool is good enough or good for all the use cases. And this, when we have to touch API design, usually it requires a lot of discussion. Then there are another area that Stefan highlighted, which is kind of tricky because we started the implementation of machine pool machines that basically was a precondition for then implementing machinal checks, which is what Andreas is looking for. But honestly, it is not clear where we are with this work. For sure, it is not implemented for all the incantation of machine pool that exist. For sure, it is incomplete because, we have machine pool machines, but for instance, we are not taking care of propagating label annotation. We are not taking care of in-place propagation of some fields, and probably more. There are a couple of questions here that Stefan. This is an area, and then there are a couple of bugs or miscellaneous. So yeah, there are maybe not many, but some of them, in my opinion, are a little bit concerning. If I should give, or I can give a priority first, the API should be really cleaned up, and then feature could be added. I also want to remind that a couple of weeks ago, we did another call of action for machine pool maintainers because we are working to implement the new condition, and we did.
Yeah, we should add this to the issue, by the way. The condition part for machine pools and also the contract point about that.
Yeah, exactly. And so during that work, we refactored the cluster API contract for almost everything except machine pool machine, given that I don't feel comfortable to write the contract for machine pool. I don't have enough experience to understand if the contract is good or bad. And then, there is also the work for implementing. So
just to mention one point. So the machine pool contract, it doesn't necessarily have to be written from scratch, right? We have one prior document, I think, that would be good basically to convert into the format that we use for the other contracts.
Yes, there is something. Let me find it.
Page should be something like machine pool.
Yes,
right.
There is something, but it is not too much. And honestly, I don't know if it is how much is up to date.
No, what I was trying to say is like I think this could be like a good exercise. Basically, we can take this here like as a starting point, what we already have for machine pools, convert this over to a new format, and then basically see if that all makes sense like it is. Then we have already like, let's say a clean contract. Maybe it doesn't cover everything in the first iteration, but at least we have like a clean form of it, and then build on top of that.
And I just sorry, let me finish. And I think this is I agree this is crucial because I don't know, there are those discussion about the API and about the different incantation of machine pools that honestly the only way to sort out those discussion are to think about our content and refining it. So yeah, really, if there is people willing to take this over, I will be more than happy because we invested a lot in the past on this feature, trying and also after the old maintainer had to step away for different reasons, we try to keep this in good shape, but now we really need some help. Lubomir?
So this was a related question, actually. I don't know the history exactly. How was this feature added? I think I blanked out in this particular period of time. So from my understanding, somebody added this feature, they added it, and now it's kind of has a lot of points that are either bugs or the API is not clean. And these people went away, and now we have some sparse consumers of the feature who are not stepping up to maintain and to own the feature. Is that basically the situation?
Stefan, do you want to answer?
No, I think it would be fair to say that we're now at a point where we have people actually trying to step up. And the right thing to do would be to try to help them step up and see if it works out.
I agree.
Can you remind me who originally implemented machine pools, just for my own understanding?
Oh, I have to defer to Fabrizio. That was probably before my time.
Most of the work was done by Microsoft folks, but they were not alone in driving this effort. The idea is still valid. So the cloud provider are offering abstraction that are more complex or more advanced than the single VM. And we want Capi to be able to take advantage of those abstraction, like the auto-scaling groups, or I don't remember different names in different cloud providers. So the idea is still good and valid and important for cluster API. Maybe the original approach also needs some rethinking, because I don't know, when we started there was no such a thing like a machine a machine group with machine of different size. Instead, today cloud have something similar, and maybe we want to take benefit also for this. So yeah, there is a yeah, let me see. It's still interesting as a stuff. People are using, I guess, more than one company. I'm pretty sure that there's more than one company. Also, Microsoft, they can probably still help there. That maybe they're just transitioning or in the middle of somewhere. But yeah, last time I spoke with Jake, he was trying to get some, yeah. As everyone, we need to get approval from manager to work on. So he was trying to sort this out.
Okay.
Stefan?
Yeah, just one quick comment. Regarding use, so my assumption would be currently that it's very much used. It's just, I mean, I assume like one major use case is basically the managed Kubernetes offerings, right? If you use EKS, AKS, and all of these, then pretty much the standard is to use them with machine pools and not with machine deployments. So I think it's really still very crucial for, like, let's just say half of our users or more. And what we probably see here is just a bit of a disparity between, I mean, we have a feature in Core Copy that basically supports features in all of the infra providers. And we just probably have like a bit of an imbalance between people working on machine pools and providers versus in Core Copy. But I mean, I'm not, probably everyone has just in general, like, would like to have more maintainers and reviewers. So I don't know how the situation in providers is for machine pools in general, but
yeah. I think it's really not fair to funnel all the central ownership to the core group of maintainers at the moment, who are actually people, especially paid by a company that doesn't really use machine pools. I'm also kind of part of the same story. We ended up in the product I'm involved. We ended up in a different way of doing this. So I wonder, what is the stick? And a stick in English is like what is the forcing function for the current group of maintainers to apply pressure on the users of like I'm seeing in the chat, heavy users of machine pools, so that they can rally and start owning this? Or what can you do? Can you start removing the end-to-end tests and say, hey, this is completely untested until you start owning this? Like, can you say, label this as something that is completely beyond experimental and not maintained at this point? Like, what is the drastic measure you can apply in this situation?
I'm not sure if that's necessarily like a productive discussion at this point.
Yeah, I think that what is happening, and it is not only happening for machine pool. It's also, last week we discussed about another feature, is that just we all work for companies, both personal and companies' priority changes over time, and since we are a community, we just need to wait, to be patient a little bit, and wait for the next wave of people interested in the feature and take over the work. So it is normal, let me say, community renewal and improvement, which is good. We will have at the end of the process, it will be a little bit painful, but at the end we will be new folks, new ideas on the table. So for now, the only things that is happening is that since there is a list of issues to be figured out, the feature is not graduating. But I think that is fair accord.
Yeah, I think one thing that we're trying to do is just we're trying to make sure that basically ideally features that are orthogonal to each other and don't negatively affect each other, right? So if you have a problem in machine pools, it would be great if it doesn't just always also leads to problems with machine deployments. So I think something that we should do sooner or later, but that's even independent of how much machine pools is maintained or not. We have we have a relatively heavy struct reusage between machine deployments and machine pools. And that's just in general a very bad thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter if machine pools is maintained or not. It's just, just too much coupling. We have weird fields in machine pools that don't belong there. And the only reason it is there because we have the same field in the machine deployment and this sort of stuff. So we have definitely like a few things like that we can maybe improve, like when we do the beta 2, just like basically decoupling like the struct situation. And yeah, something like end-to-end test flakiness. Let's see how it goes. But basically, if we get to a point where too many flakes produced by one feature leads to flakiness in a way that we can't tell if other features are still stable, then yeah, sooner or later we have to basically say, okay, then this test is not running, or this test is not running with machine pools on periodic, so that we still have a clean signal for other stuff. I think for the moment it's okay, but I think if it becomes problematic in some ways, then we have options.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the current core roster of maintainers has to apply the pressure to other people who are trying to onboard themselves as maintainers. This is more of proposing pressure to managers that you also brought as a.
Okay, that's
because that is the key pressure point, basically.
Yeah. So how do we motivate people to contribute or give them arguments to whoever they have to argue with?
Yes. It's kind of indirect.
Different question. Got it.
But it's a good practice to scope the feature in terms of who is using it and how they can engage more, because I oftentimes see this, like I think Jack last time brought this again, this discussion, like eventually if people are using it, they just have to step up, and that's all. Yeah. Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent, but yeah.
Yep. But I think it's a good discussion. At the end, we are all volunteers or part-time maintainers, so it is important that folks also think about the general health of the project, and if a company is using, they should basically bring up those reasons to their manager. So thank you. If there are no other comments, let's keep moving with our agenda. Next one is Daniel.
Hey, yeah, so I just wanted to present a short demo. Not sure if I really need to present this since it's just a pre-recorded version of this. There are two PRs currently. As for context, currently cluster classes are namespace scope resources as well as clusters. And there's a long outstanding issue to allow referencing a cluster class from a cluster located in a different namespace. So I just went ahead and tried to implement this feature since I thought that one of the solutions can be useful. And I'll try to share my content screen for it, so if it sounds good.
Yeah, I gave you host. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, I believe it was problematic. Yeah, it was problematic. It's still problematic right now. Can I ask you to open the link in this case, if it's fine?
Yes, give me a second. So I'm back to the share. I open.
There are a couple of sections. We can skip most part of this, but shortly speaking, this demo showcases how cluster can reference a cluster class. The only addition here is the new field class namespace within the cluster spec. Yeah, from my testing in initial phase, when creating a quick start cluster with something like a provider, I've not seen any major issues with scaling the cluster, removing nodes, or deleting the cluster entirely. So this demo goes through those stages and showcases that. But I believe one of the interesting aspects of that issue is that it's a cross namespace access, and this is a long discussed issue overall in the Kubernetes community, and no one can directly point out to any solutions which are seemingly sufficient. So I didn't want to go ahead and jump to conclusions and try to present something which can be used for everything, but just an option. Currently in Kubernetes 130 plus, there's ability to use validating admission policies. I may be wrong about the name, it's confusing a little bit, which is essentially a declarative webhook configuration using custom expression language, which can be applied for restating the access or refusing to accept the cluster, for example, with a class namespace, if cross namespace access is entirely not in the scope of requirements without any current changes to copy. So yeah, that's going to be a second part of the demo. In this session, I guess I'm showing just how we can create a cross namespace referencing cluster. And as you can see, yeah, some issues. Create namespace. And I guess there's not going to be any surprises. It should work. So I shared the demo as well as a link in the document. Feel free to give it a glance and give some comments. It's currently up to discussion whether is this approach sufficient. I thought that there's an option to address all the outstanding issues, especially restriction of the cross namespace access with webhooks, which unfortunately works only in the face of, I guess, creation or updates on the resource. But it could be a good starting point, in my opinion, to move this issue closer to completion. So yeah, as you can see, all machines were created, no issues shown. Since the copy uses essentially cluster scoped permissions on those resources and doesn't have any sort of role-based access restrictions per namespace in this scenario, it's not a problem. I would imagine that in the scenario when the cluster cannot access specific namespace with the cluster class, this would result in issues. I've seen them during testing, not in the specific scenario, but when referencing some resource which is not found, it propagates on the cluster resource, so essentially paging would not happen. Maybe there's also a sufficient measure to prevent such situations. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's worth spending time on overall the demo. The second part is just showing the validation mission policy, creating the cluster, restricting the access to the resource field, and using a secret as a, I guess, example of a resource which can have a set of string keys to verify whether or not this namespace can be used in the class namespace field. And it also works. So I wasn't able to add this to end-to-end tests yet, and I believe it won't be possible until 2 Kubernetes releases, since the minimal spotted version currently with 122 will be 129, if I'm not mistaken, and this feature came only in 130 in this form. So yeah, that's just pushing this out there. Yeah, but yeah, that's more or less it for me. If you have any questions.
Okay, I think that we can leave basically everyone to look at the demo if they're interesting. Are there questions for Daniel? It seems not. I have one. Did you test this also with runtime extension by chance?
Not yet, but I'm planning to, definitely. I also want to expand on current end-to-end suite once the issues with references is fixed. Because what I observed is that the current external .get method used across the repo is polluted by the namespace of the cluster. So this means that when the cluster references some template from its namespace, the cluster namespace instead is used. So this is currently blocking from verifying some end-to-end test functionality in the PR. But I would like to expand on that and also, check the extensions functionality as well.
This will be great because my only concern is that we built basically 2 years and a half of code on top of cluster class. And with the assumption that the namespace was the same. And so we have to find a good way to figure it out if those assumptions still were implemented in a good or in a flexible enough way to support this new case or not. So that's my only concern. Then I will try to take a look. I'm still let me say, heads down on trying to finish the condition, but hopefully I will get some time before code freeze. So thank you for driving this in the meantime.
While talking about code freeze, I'm not sure if we'll get it done until code freeze or not, but I'm also not sure if it's a problem because there's probably nothing speaking against backporting this into a .1 or .2 release, at least like spontaneous take. So I think I mean, we have to take a closer look and see how the solution looks like in all of this. But probably if we can't make the code freeze in 3 weeks, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that we have to wait until April to get this out. That's why I'm bringing it up.
It depends by how much changes are involved in how much risk we consider it. But probably, according to what Daniel is explaining, the changes are pretty straightforward. So let's look at
I think the external get thing would be good to get this done in the next 1 or 2 weeks, because that's just a bit of changes everywhere and we have to carefully review. I would assume and hope that the actual implementation afterwards is like mostly end-to-end. And then maybe a few places where you have to touch something. But we'll see, of course.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Daniel. Next up is Richard.
Yeah, hi. So it's just a quick one. It's really just to share for anyone that's interested in watching talks about real world, uses of CAPI in different areas. It was actually quite nice to see at a conference CAPI talks again, because there was lots of CAPI talks for a while, and then it sort of dried up a bit, and then there was 2 actually in this one conference, which was KCD in London. And interestingly, they were both around a similar area, which is, I guess, sign of the times, which was HPC/AI companies using CAPI to provision clusters that are then used for AI type AI training jobs and things like that. But really, really interesting. Second one as well was interesting for another reason, which is, I believe there is Master of Masters, but they're using V cluster with CAPI in the V clusters. So there's a management cluster per cluster that gets provisioned. And the reason they do that is so that they can roll out changes to CAPI itself and not impact every single cluster. So it was quite a nice use case for anyone that's managing lots of clusters that wants to reduce the blast radius. So yeah, if you're interested in those type of things, I thought I'd just drop the links in there.
Yeah, thank you very much. There was a similar demo at last KubeCon or the one before from a team in VMware that did this idea of Master of Masters. I will try to search for the talk and link it here. It is pretty interesting use case, and I will try to link also them from the book, because they are useful for folks to see. Stefan?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think the KubeCon talks from my colleagues is already in a book. And maybe while you look it up there, maybe you can add the 2 new ones if they fit in there. Thanks.
Okay, we are at the end of our discussion topic, and next up there is a provider update also from Richard.
Yep, I couldn't see if this had been shared in the last 2 meetings because I couldn't attend, but there was a new release of the AWS provider 271, and this included a change to start using the new community AMIs because all the other ones had disappeared. So if you're a CAPI user and you do want to use public AMIs, have a look at that release. Make sure you do read the release notes, because there's some important changes and recommendations around the AMIs and the links to the documentation around an AMI publication policy. So yeah, have a look.
Thank you. Great to see the huge amount of feature and fixes that are in this release. Great work, Kappa team. And we are at the end of our agenda, if I'm not wrong. So if there are no last minute topics, we can have some time back. Okay, thank you, everyone. Next week, I think we are going to skip because KubeCon, right? So yeah, see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, thanks.